I won $100 million in the lottery. My daughter-in-law locked me in a closet and stole my ticket. You're just a leech. It's our turn to enjoy the good life, she said. What she didn't know was, the ticket wasn't in her name. I'm glad you're here. Stick with me till the end, and comment which city you're watching from. I'd love to see how far my story reaches. I remember the exact moment my life changed forever. Tuesday morning. 7:23 a.m. I was sitting at my kitchen table, coffee going cold, staring at 6 numbers on a crumpled lottery ticket. 7, 14. 23, 35. 42, 49. The same numbers I'd played every week for 12 years. Ever since my husband, Bill, passed. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the ticket. $100 million. $100 million. I must have checked those numbers against the TV screen at least 20 times before it really sank in. After 43 years working double shifts as a hospital cleaner. After pinching pennies. After eating canned soup for dinner more times than I could count. I'd actually won. The first person I called was my son, Derek. He didn't answer. Not unusual, Derek worked construction. His phone was always dead or buried in a pile of tools. So I called his wife. Kaia. My daughter-in-law. Her voice had that sharp edge it always did with me, like I was bothering her. What's wrong now? Nothing's wrong, honey, I said. I need to tell you and Derek something. Can you both come over? We're busy. Derek's got overtime. I've got plans with the girls. I took a breath. I won the lottery, Kaia. Silence. Then a short laugh. Sure you did, Marlene. What is it this time, $5? 100 million. The line went dead. 20 minutes later, Derek's truck came screeching into my driveway. They burst through my front door like they owned the place. Derek, 38 years old, built like his father but with none of Bill's warmth, looked panicked. Kaia strutted in behind him like she was walking a runway. Designer jeans, full makeup, her blonde hair styled just so. She always looked expensive, even though Derek's paycheck could barely cover rent. But this time, there was something new in her eyes. Hunger. Mom, where's the ticket? Derek barked. No hello. No hug. I held it up, still trembling. Right here. I can't believe it, Derek. After all these years. Kaia snatched it from my hand before I could even finish. She studied it, mouthing the numbers. Holy sh, she whispered. Holy crap, Derek, she actually won. Language, I said quietly. But she wasn't listening. She was staring at that ticket like it was the only thing that mattered. Derek leaned over her shoulder, his jaw slack. For a moment, I thought he might hug me. Say something kind. Something like I'm proud of you, Mom. Instead, he started pacing. Okay, Mom, he said, rubbing his hands through his thinning hair. We need to think logically. This is a lot of money. Way more than you could ever spend. You're going to need help managing it. I want to call a financial advisor, I said. And a lawyer. That's what they always say on the news. Kaia's head snapped up. A lawyer? Why would you need a lawyer? We're family. Her voice had changed. I'd lived with Kaia in my life for 8 years now, ever since she married Derek. She never liked me. That much had always been clear. To her, I was the poor mother-in-law in the tiny house. The one who couldn't pay for fancy dinners. The one who sometimes needed help with her electric bill. But the look she gave me now wasn't just dislike. It was cold calculation. I just want to do this the right way, I said. Make sure everything's legal. Of course it'll be legal, Derek added, not meeting my eyes. Look, why don't you sit down? Kaia and I will make some coffee, and we'll all talk this out. I should have trusted the voice in my head. The one screaming at me to run. To take the ticket and go straight to the lottery office. Instead, I sat down in my old recliner, the same one Bill used to sit in while watching the evening news, and I waited. I heard them whispering in the kitchen. Urgent. Low. I couldn't hear the words, but I didn't need to. After 66 years on this earth, I know the sound of scheming when I hear it. When Kaia came back, she was smiling. But it wasn't a smile for me. Marlene, she said sweetly. Derek and I were talking, and we think you should let us handle the details. You know, the paperwork. The complicated stuff. You've worked hard your whole life. You deserve to relax and let us take care of things now. Kaia's voice was syrupy sweet. Too sweet. That's kind of you both, I said carefully, but I can handle it. Her smile vanished. Actually, she said, voice turning cold, I don't think you can. You're too old, and too confused, to understand what this really means. Excuse me? Derek stepped in, trying to soften the blow. What Kaia means is, this would be overwhelming for anyone. And Mom, let's be honest, you're not as sharp as you used to be. I felt heat rise in my chest. There's nothing wrong with my memory. You forgot Derek's birthday last month, Kaia said with fake concern. I was in the hospital with pneumonia, I snapped. I sent the card 2 days late. See, she replied, with a smug tilt of her head. You're getting defensive. That's a common sign of cognitive decline. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. These were the people I had sacrificed for. The family I had supported, even when it meant eating ramen for dinner so they could make rent. I want you both to leave, I said, rising from my chair. Right now. That's when Kaia's mask finally dropped. No, Marlene, she sneered. You don't get to make demands anymore. She gave Derek a nod. Before I could react, he stepped forward and grabbed my arms. I'm sorry, Mom, he muttered. But there was no apology in his voice. This is for your own good. They dragged me down the hall. I kicked and shouted, pleaded, but they didn't care. Kaia snatched the ticket from the coffee table as they passed. You've done nothing but bleed us dry, she hissed as Derek shoved me into the bedroom closet. It's our turn now. Our turn to enjoy the good life. The closet door slammed shut. I heard the scrape of my heavy dresser being dragged across the floor and wedged in front of the door. Darkness surrounded me. The smell of old sweaters. Of Bill's jacket, still faintly clinging to his cologne. That's when it hit me. My son had just locked me in my own home. But even as I sat there on the hard floor, knees aching, heart pounding, I allowed myself the smallest smile. They had no idea what they'd just done. The first hour felt like 10. I sat in the dark, listening. Footsteps moving through my house. Drawers opening. Cabinets slammed. Kaia's voice floated clearly through the thin walls. Derek, look at this place. It's like a poor person's museum. We'll have to burn half of it when we move her into a nursing home. Keep your voice down, Derek muttered. The neighbors might hear. Who cares? They're just as old and pathetic as she is. I pressed my ear against the door. My back ached. My knees throbbed. But I needed to hear everything. So, what's the plan? Derek asked. We can't keep her locked up forever. Why not? Kaia answered casually. She's clearly suffering from dementia. Poor old woman wandered off, got confused. Had to be institutionalized, for her own safety. Her voice was so calm, so rehearsed, it made my blood run cold. This wasn't something she thought up on the fly. Kaia had planned this. I don't know, Derek said. She seemed pretty sharp when she was yelling at us. That's called sundowning, she replied. It's a classic symptom. They seem normal, then they snap. I've been researching it. Just in case something like this ever happened. My stomach dropped. She'd been waiting. Waiting for the perfect excuse to get rid of me. Look, she continued, your mother has been nothing but a burden for years. How many times has she called asking for money? How many family dinners has she ruined with her complaining, her health, her bills, her loneliness? She's been draining us, Derek. I closed my eyes. I remembered every time I'd had to swallow my pride and ask for help. When the roof leaked and I couldn't afford repairs. When the car broke down and I missed a doctor's appointment. That Christmas when I had nothing to give the grandkids and quietly asked Derek if I could chip in on their gifts. I always felt ashamed. But I thought that's what families did. They helped each other. She raised me, Kaia, Derek said, sounding unsure. She worked herself half to death after Dad died. And now it's time for her to step aside, she snapped. We're talking about $100 million, Derek. That's life-changing money. No more bills, no more worries. We can buy that dream house. We can travel. I can finally quit my job. What job? I wanted to scream. Kaia worked part-time at a boutique when she felt like it, spending more on discounted clothes than she earned in wages. We could give her some of it, Derek said, weakly. Set up a trust or something. Give her money? Kaia scoffed. She's 66 and already declining. What's she going to do with millions of dollars? Buy a yacht, cruise the world? Kaia scoffed. She'd probably donate it all to some random charity. Or hand it over to the church. Footsteps creaked closer. The dresser scraped across the floor. Then the closet door creaked open. Kaia stood in the doorway, holding a water bottle and a granola bar. Here, she said, tossing them at my feet. Can't have you dying in there. That would complicate things. Ka, please, I said, voice hoarse. You don't have to do this. We can figure something out. She crouched down to meet my eyes, her expression a mask of faux concern. Oh, Marlene. You poor, confused thing. Her voice was syrupy sweet, razor-sharp beneath the surface. You don't remember, do you? You already signed the ticket over to Derek yesterday. During one of your episodes. That's not true, I whispered. Isn't it? She asked, tilting her head. Your memory's been spotty lately. Remember when you forgot Derek's birthday? Or when you called me at 3 a.m. asking if I'd seen your mother? She smiled, but her eyes were hard. Your mother's been dead for 15 years, Marlene. I remembered that night. It wasn't confusion, it was grief. A nightmare so vivid I'd woken in tears, disoriented. Half asleep, I'd reached for the phone. You're going to tell everyone I'm incompetent, I said. Kaia shook her head, standing. I won't have to tell them anything. The evidence will speak for itself. Locked closets, your erratic behavior, all those harmless little lapses. She pulled something from her pocket. A small recording device. I've been documenting everything. Just in case. Months of proof. Calls, conversations, slips. It's all there. My heart thundered in my chest. She'd been recording me. Tracking every mistake, every moment of doubt. Derek felt guilty at first, she said, smoothing her jeans. But I convinced him it was the right thing to do. You need care, Marlene. The kind we just can't provide. The door slammed shut again. The dresser scraped back into place. And in the dark, I cried. Not just for the money they were stealing. But for all the lies I hadn't seen until now. The concern about my memory. Ka answering Derek's phone more and more. The way she'd started hinting that I shouldn't be living alone. It had all been calculated. Months, maybe years, of manipulation. But Kaia didn't know everything. And she'd underestimated me. That lottery ticket? It wasn't as simple as she thought. 3 hours later, I heard Derek's truck leave the driveway. Ka's voice echoed faintly through the wall. Mom? It's me. You're not going to believe it, Derek's mom finally snapped. Completely lost it. We had to have her committed. A pause. Then a fake sigh. No, it's sad, but honestly, kind of a relief. She's been getting worse for months. A beat of silence. Then a sharp laugh. Actually, it's working out better than we hoped. She had a lottery ticket. Can you believe it? We're sorting out the paperwork now. My hands clenched into fists. She was already rewriting the story. By tomorrow, the town would think I was some senile woman locked away for my own good. But Ka had made a crucial mistake. She'd moved too fast. She didn't know how the lottery commission worked. You don't just walk in with a ticket and collect $100 million. You need ID, verification, and signatures. By day 4, the water and granola bar were gone. My back ached from the closet floor. I could smell myself. But through it all, I could also hear the panic rising in Kaia's voice. This was what I'd been waiting for. What do you mean we need her signature? She snapped into the phone. I told you, she's mentally incompetent. She barely knows her name. A pause. No, we don't have power of attorney. Why would we need that? She's family. Another pause. How long does that take? Weeks? We don't have weeks. I smiled in the dark. The lottery commission wasn't buying it. The closet door opened. Light stabbed my eyes. Ka stood there, no more smiles, no more pretense. Only fury. Get up, she snapped. We need to talk. My body screamed in protest, but I stood. Derek hovered behind her, looking uneasy. He wouldn't meet my eyes. You're going to sign these, Ka said, thrusting a manila folder into my hands. Power of attorney. Derek will manage your affairs while you recover. I stared down at the papers without touching them. And if I don't? Ka's eyes narrowed. You're in no position to refuse. You're suffering from dementia. We have hours of recordings that prove it. They're fake, I said. You set me up. You twisted every word. You made sure I looked confused. Kaia let out a cold laugh. And who's going to believe that? A confused, unstable old woman? Or 2 loving relatives just trying to help? Derek finally spoke. Mom, just sign the papers. We're not trying to hurt you. We just want to take care of things while you get better. I looked him dead in the eye. I'm not sick, Derek. And I'm certainly not signing over control of my life. Kaia's cheeks flushed red. Her voice snapped like a whip. Fine. Have it your way. She pulled out her phone. I'm calling psychiatric services. They'll send someone to evaluate you. When they see the state you're in, locked in a closet for days, ranting about conspiracies, they'll have no choice. Wait, I said quickly. Let me see the papers. I took the folder in trembling hands, pretending to squint at the text. Buying time. The documents looked official, but then I saw the attorney's name at the bottom, Jim Hendress. Bill's old lawyer. We'd stopped using him years ago when we couldn't afford the fees. This gives Derek full access to all my accounts, I said. All my assets. Kaia's tone shifted instantly, smooth, saccharine. That's right. So we can make sure your bills are paid. Your medical care covered. We're just trying to help, Marlene. And the lottery ticket? I asked. They exchanged a glance. Well, yes, Derek said slowly. But we'd use that money to get you the best care available. I set the folder down on the kitchen table, the table where I'd eaten alone for years. Where I'd stared at those winning numbers not long ago. I need to think about this. There's nothing to think about, Kaia snapped. Sign, or we make the call. I turned to my son and really looked at him. The boy I raised alone. The one I worked double shifts for, emptied savings for, just to keep a roof over our heads. Do you remember when you were 12? The baseball glove you wanted? He frowned. Mom, what does that? I worked 6 months of overtime to buy it. Skipped my own birthday. Gave up Christmas. His voice softened. I remember. And when you got married, I gave you Grandma's ring. The only thing of value I had left. Kaia's hand moved instinctively to the sapphire ring on her finger. You're my son, Derek. I love you. But this? What you're doing now? This isn't love. This is theft, wrapped in false concern. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes, guilt, maybe. But Kaia stepped forward, ice in her voice. Enough. You're manipulating him with guilt, and it only proves you're unfit to make decisions. She grabbed the pen from the table and shoved it into my hand. Sign. Now. I held the pen, my hand shaking, not from fear, but fury. They thought they could strip me of everything I had left. You know what, Ka? I said slowly. You're right about one thing. She folded her arms. Oh? And what's that? I am not competent to make this decision. She smirked. Because, I continued, I don't have all the information yet. Kaia's face twitched. What information? I smiled, an unfamiliar expression after 4 days locked in a closet. Well, for starters, that lottery ticket you stole? It's worthless. Kaia's face went pale. You're lying. It had to be signed by the purchaser within 72 hours of the drawing. I never signed it. Derek leaned in. Then sign it now. I can't, I said. The window closed yesterday. Kaia yanked the ticket from her purse and studied it, her hands shaking. No, that can't be right. It has to be worth something. It's worth the paper it's printed on. Nothing more. The silence was crushing. Kaia stared at me, eyes narrowing, calculating. You knew, she whispered. You knew all along. I shrugged. I'd been playing the lottery for 12 years. I know the rules. Then why didn't you tell us? I wanted to see how far you'd go. I wanted to know who you really are. I rose slowly to my feet, joints aching, dignity returning with every breath. And now I know. Derek stood frozen, the useless ticket clutched in his hand. So, there's no money? Oh, the numbers were real, I said. I really did win $100 million. Their faces twisted in confusion. I just didn't win it with that ticket. Kaia's voice cracked. What are you talking about? I've been buying tickets every week, same numbers, same store. But for the last 6 months, I've been buying 2 each time. One for me. I paused. And one for Rose. Kaia's eyes widened. Rose? My best friend. We had a deal, if one of us won, we'd split it. I let that settle. She died 3 months ago. Pancreatic cancer. But before she passed, she asked me to keep buying her ticket, for luck, she said. The room went still. Even the refrigerator sounded like it was holding its breath. The ticket you stole was mine. The one with my name on it. I paused, letting the words settle like dust in a still room. But Rose's ticket, that one I signed immediately. I claimed the prize 2 days ago. On her behalf. She named me as her beneficiary in her will. Derek's face turned ghostly white. You mean, while we were keeping you locked up, trying to have you committed, you were already the legal owner of? $50 million, I said, calm as ice. Rose's half. Left to me by someone who actually loved me. Kaia screamed. A sound of pure rage that cracked through the house like a gunshot. She lunged. Her nails were inches from my face when Derek grabbed her arm. You manipulative bitch, she shrieked, thrashing in his grip. You let us think we had it. You let us plan our future. I let you show me who you really are, I said evenly, though my heart thundered in my chest. And you didn't disappoint. Derek released her, dropped into a kitchen chair, and buried his head in his hands. 50 million, he whispered. Had 50 million, I corrected. Kaia spun to face me, eyes wild. What do you mean had? I gave her a cold smile. I wasn't about to leave that kind of money sitting in my account while you two were planning to declare me incompetent. I've spent the last 4 days making calls. That wasn't exactly true. Just one call. From my cell phone, the one they'd never thought to take away. Amazing how people underestimate old women. Who did you call? Derek's voice was barely audible. My real attorney, I said. The one I hired 6 months ago when I got suspicious about Kaia's sudden obsession with my declining health. I looked Kaia straight in the eyes. Did you really think I didn't notice you recording our conversations? You're not as subtle as you think. Kaia's face drained of color. You can't prove anything. Oh, but I can. I can prove this was premeditated. That you locked me in my own home. That you tried to coerce me into signing away my rights and property. I pulled the phone from my pocket and held it up. I've been recording too, Ka. Everything. For the last 4 days. The silence stretched like wire about to snap. Derek looked up at me, and for the first time I saw it. Fear. Mom, we can fix this. We're family. Family doesn't lock family in closets, I said. It was Kaia's idea, he blurted. I went along with it because she said you were getting worse. That you needed help. His words cut deeper than I expected. Even now, he was trying to throw her under the bus to save himself. And you believed her, I said, voice steady. Because it was easier. Because you wanted to believe I was a burden, so you wouldn't have to feel guilty about what you were planning to do to me. Kaia had been pacing the kitchen like a caged animal. She stopped now, and turned toward me with a slow, chilling smile. You think you're so clever, Marlene. But you made a huge mistake. I folded my arms. Which was? You just admitted you've got $50 million. And Derek is your only living relative. She looked at him, then back to me. All we have to do is wait. My stomach sank. Wait for what? Her smile widened. For you to die. Derek stood up sharply. Kaia, what the hell are you saying? I'm saying old women living alone have accidents. They fall downstairs. Forget to turn off the gas. Have medical emergencies no one notices for days. He stared at her like she'd grown horns. You can't be serious. She cost us $50 million, Derek. Kaia snapped. Do you know what that kind of money means? We'll never get another chance like this. Never. She's my mother, he said. Kaia turned to him, voice dripping venom. She's a bitter old woman who's been draining us for years. And now she's torched our future, just to spite us. I took a step back, inching toward the kitchen door. I had to get out, call the police. But Kaia stood between me and the exit, her eyes locked on mine. Derek, I said, my voice low and calm. You don't have to do this. Take her and leave. Walk away now, and we'll never speak of this again. Don't listen to her. Kaia snapped. She's manipulating you, playing the victim again, just like always. Derek stood frozen between us, face pale, eyes darting. I don't know what to do. You do know, Kaia said, her voice low and urgent as she edged closer to me. She's been recording us, Derek. Everything. If we leave now, she'll go to the police. She'll ruin us. Press charges. We'll go to prison. Good, I said coldly. That's where you belong. Kaia's hand snapped to the magnetic strip above the counter. In one motion, she pulled free a gleaming kitchen knife. Enough talking. Derek stepped forward, hands raised. Ka, put the knife down. This has gone too far. Too far, she laughed. It came out shrill, cracked, nearly a scream. Derek, we kidnapped your mother. Locked her in a closet. We forged documents. Tried to have her committed. We're already criminals. The only question left is whether we stay poor criminals, or become rich ones. My back hit the kitchen door. I reached behind me, fingers scrambling for the knob. Sunlight poured through the window, catching the edge of the blade in Kaia's hand. Ka, please, Derek said, voice shaking. This isn't you. She didn't even look at him. This is exactly me, she whispered. This is us. We do what we have to. We survive. We take what we deserve. I couldn't stay silent. You deserve nothing. You've earned nothing. You think you're entitled to my money because you married my son? Kaia's eyes snapped to me. Fury surged through her. I'm entitled, she spat, because I've tolerated you for 8 years. 8 years of guilt trips, neediness, constant meddling. You clinging to relevance like a stray dog. I found the doorknob and twisted. Kaia raised the knife. And now, she said, her voice suddenly calm, I'm going to solve all our problems at once. That's when Derek finally moved. He lunged, grabbing her wrist mid-swing. Let go of me. Kaia screamed, thrashing. I won't let you hurt her. He shouted. You don't get to do this. Their struggle was violent, Derek trying to hold her back, Kaia flailing, screeching, the knife glinting wildly. I shoved the door open and stumbled backward onto the porch. Fell hard, palms scraping wood. Inside, the chaos continued. Glass shattered. Something heavy crashed. Derek yelled, then silence. The kind of silence that makes your blood run cold. My hand shook as I pulled out my phone. I dialed with trembling fingers. 911. What's your emergency? My daughter-in-law, I gasped. She has a knife. She tried to kill me. Please, send help. I gave the address. Inside, something crashed again. Then, nothing. Heart hammering, I crept back to the kitchen window and peeked in. Derek was on the floor. Blood spread beneath his head like spilled paint. Kaia stood over him, the knife still in her hand. Her face. Still. Serene. She looked up. Saw me watching. And smiled. Then she turned. Started walking toward the back door. Toward me. The knife gleamed red in her hand. I ran. I barely made it to Mrs. Chen's porch before my knees gave out. She opened the door before I could even knock. Marlene? What, oh my God. She didn't ask questions. She pulled me inside. Together we watched through her living room window as Kaia emerged from my house, wild-eyed, knife still in hand, turning in circles like she'd lost something. Is that blood? Mrs. Chen whispered. I nodded. Couldn't speak. Derek, I whispered finally. He's still my son. Whatever she was, he was still mine. And now he was bleeding because he tried to protect me. Sirens wailed in the distance. 2 police cruisers and an ambulance rounded the corner moments later. Kaia saw them, froze, then dropped the knife and threw up her hands. In seconds, she became someone else. Her face twisted into desperation. Tears welled instantly. Oh, thank God you're here, she cried as the officers approached. My mother-in-law, she snapped. She attacked Derek. We tried to help her, but she's been getting worse. Please, you have to believe me. From Mrs. Chen's window, I watched her performance. It was flawless. If I hadn't lived through the last 4 days, I might have believed her myself. But one of the officers, Martinez, I recognized him. He often spoke at our senior center's community safety nights. He didn't look convinced. Ma'am, he said calmly, we received a 911 call from this address, reporting that you were threatening the homeowner with a knife. Kaia blinked. Her lip trembled. That's impossible, she said. She's clearly having a psychotic break, she added quickly. Marlene's been unstable for months. We tried to get her help. But she refuses treatment. Martinez didn't flinch. And where is Mrs. Holloway now? I don't know where she went. I kept my voice steady, my pulse anything but. Derek ran after her, and that's when she turned on him. She had the knife. Please, you have to find her before someone else gets hurt. I saw Officer Martinez exchange a glance with his partner. I knew that look. They'd heard this kind of story before, families in crisis, elderly relatives slipping into confusion, violence whispered behind polite suburban doors. They were forming a picture. And it wasn't the right one. That's when I realized, if I didn't act now, Kaia would win. I squeezed Mrs. Chen's hand and stood. I have to go out there. Marlene, no, she said, panic in her voice. She's dangerous. She is, I agreed. But she's also a liar. And if I don't speak now, she's going to convince them I'm the one who belongs in custody. I stepped outside, hands raised, moving slowly, non-threatening. I saw Officer Martinez spot me almost instantly. Mrs. Holloway, he called. Ma'am, stay right there. Kaia spun at the sound of my name. Her face flickered like a broken screen, shock, fury, panic, and then crocodile tears. Marlene, she cried, rushing toward me. Oh, thank God, you're alive. When you attacked Derek, I thought you might hurt yourself, too. The officer stepped between us, keeping her back. Ma'am, Officer Martinez said to me, calm but firm, we're going to need you to come with us and answer some questions. Of course, I said evenly. But before I do, there's something you should hear. I held up my phone, finger hovering over the play button. I've been recording everything for the past 4 days. Including the part where Mrs. Kaia Holloway threatened to kill me. And the part where she attacked my son when he tried to stop her. Kaia went pale. She's delusional. There's no recording, she's making this up. Would you like to hear it? I asked Martinez. What followed was one of the most satisfying moments of my life. As my phone played Kaia's voice, her cold plans, her veiled threats, her open hatred, I watched her mask fall apart piece by piece. Her laughter, her scheming, her calm discussions of accidents and inheritance. Derek's voice in the background, sometimes protesting, sometimes silent. She doctored that. Kaia snapped. It's fake. Old people can fake audio now, there are apps. But the recording was clear. Unmistakable. Her voice, her tone, her words. Officer Martinez's expression changed. Ma'am, he said, turning to Kaia, his voice hardening. You're under arrest for assault, unlawful imprisonment, and attempted murder. As they read her rights, Kaia's act dropped completely. The tears stopped. The softness vanished. What remained was pure venom. You think you've won? She hissed at me as the cuffs clicked into place. You think this is over? Derek is your only family, Marlene. When he dies, everything comes to me. The house. The money. Everything. Officer Martinez paused. What money are you referring to, ma'am? She won the lottery, Kaia spat. $50 million. And when Derek dies, it all goes to me. Something icy settled in my chest. Even now. Even caught, cuffed, and headed to prison, she was still counting on Derek to die. Officer, I said softly. There's something else you should know. About that money. 1 hour later, I sat in a hospital waiting room, fingers clenched around a lukewarm cup of coffee while Derek underwent surgery. The doctor had said the head wound wasn't life-threatening. Kaia had used a heavy ceramic vase, not the knife. Still, the cup bled like a horror film. Across from me sat Detective Sarah Williams, young, sharp-eyed, the kind of old soul forged by seeing too much darkness too soon. "Let me make sure I understand," she said, flipping through her notes. "Your daughter-in-law was trying to have you declared mentally incompetent for months. She locked you in your own home for 4 days, stole a fake lottery ticket, and when she realized the real money wasn't hers, she tried to kill you for it." "That's correct," I said. "And the 50 million? I smiled for the first time in days. "Well, that's where it gets interesting." Her eyebrow lifted. "I did win $50 million, I said. But I never said I kept it." "What do you mean?" "Rose, my friend, had very specific wishes. If we ever won, she wanted the money to go to the children's hospital where her grandson was treated for leukemia. I promised her I'd honor that." I pulled a folder from my purse and handed it to her. 3 days ago, I did. Every penny. Donated in her name. Detective Williams blinked, flipping through the documents. "You gave it all away?" "Rose's half," I said. "And when I claim my own ticket, mine will go to the same place." She looked up, stunned. "Why?" I leaned back in the stiff hospital chair. "Because these past few days taught me something. Money doesn't make you rich. Being loved does. And Rose loved me enough to trust me with her legacy. That's worth more than any jackpot." She shook her head slowly. "So Kaia did all this for money that never belonged to her?" "That's right. She's going to be furious when she finds out." "I imagine so," I said. "But that's not my problem anymore." A doctor in scrubs stepped into the waiting room. "Mrs. Holloway?" "Yes?" "Your son's out of surgery. He's stable. He's asking for you." Relief hit me like a wave. I stood, and as I turned, Detective Williams touched my arm gently. "Mrs. Holloway," she said, "what you did, giving away all that money, that was extraordinary." I smiled. "Not really. I almost forgot what mattered. But sometimes losing everything reminds you what's truly worth keeping." 6 months later, I stood in the kitchen of my new apartment, brewing coffee for 2. Sunlight poured through the windows, lighting up the small garden outside, the pride of our senior living community. Tomatoes, marigolds, green beans. Life. At exactly 8 a.m., Derek knocked softly on the door. He'd been doing that every Tuesday and Friday since leaving the hospital. The injury left him with some gaps, memories lost forever. But he remembered enough. He remembered the closet. He remembered Kaia's voice. And most importantly, he remembered me. This place wasn't the house I'd raised him in. It was smaller. Simpler. But it felt more like home than anywhere I'd lived in years. He remembered the moment he saw her clearly, who she really was. "Morning, Mom," Derek said, easing into the chair I'd bought just for him. His hair had grown back over the scar, but I still saw it when he leaned forward, eyes soft with apology. "How are you feeling today?" "Better," I said. "The headaches are less frequent." He accepted the coffee I handed him with a quiet thank you. "I got the divorce papers yesterday," he said. "It's final." I nodded. We'd talked about this day. Kaia was serving 15 years for kidnapping, assault, and attempted murder. She'd tried to plead diminished capacity, but between the recordings and her own admissions, the case was airtight. "Any regrets?" I asked gently. He stared into his cup for a long time before answering. "I regret letting her convince me you were a burden. That I didn't see what she was doing until it was nearly too late." He looked up then. And I saw it, the guilt that never quite left his eyes. "But I don't regret that she's gone," he said. "Does that make me a terrible person?" I reached for his hand. "It makes you human." We sat quietly for a while, listening to the gentle stirrings of the world outside. Mr. Peterson was already out in the garden with his tomatoes. Mrs. Rodriguez passed by with her creaky old beagle trailing behind her. "These people," these routines, they were my new normal. A chosen family of sorts. Derek cleared his throat. There's something I want to tell you. I raised an eyebrow. I've been going to therapy, he said. Dr. Martinez thinks I need to understand how I got so lost. How I let Kaia manipulate me into treating you the way I did. What have you learned? I asked. He hesitated. That I was angry with you for years without even realizing it. His voice dropped to a near whisper. After Dad died, you were always working. Always tired. I felt like I lost both parents, not just one. The words stung, but I was ready for them. We'd circled this conversation for months. Kaia used that anger, he continued. She made little comments about how you were getting old, forgetful, how you needed help. She framed everything like caring for you would be this massive burden. And I wanted to believe her. Because then I didn't have to feel guilty about being angry anymore. I reached across the table and took his hand. Derek. I know I wasn't the mother you needed after your father died. I was trying, but trying doesn't always mean it was enough. His eyes welled slightly. It was enough, Mom. It was more than enough. I just couldn't see it then. I was so focused on what I thought I was missing that I didn't appreciate what I still had. A soft knock at the door interrupted us. Through the window, I spotted Mrs. Chen holding a covered casserole dish. She'd moved in 3 months ago, after her daughter convinced her she needed more social engagement. Come in, Helen, I called. She entered with her usual warm bustle, her hair perfectly in place despite the early hour. I made too much breakfast casserole again. You know how I get with recipes. This was her way of feeding us without making it a thing. She'd unofficially become the community grandmother, and we all went along with it. You're too kind, Derek said, accepting the dish with a grateful smile. Nonsense, Helen said, patting his shoulder like it belonged to her. Food's meant to be shared. How's the job search going, dear? Derek had lost his construction job during the legal nightmare. Slowly, he was rebuilding. I've got an interview next week, he said. Small company. Residential stuff. The owner knows what happened. But he's still willing to give me a chance. Good for you, Helen said firmly. Second chances are worth their weight in gold. After she left, Derek and I stepped out onto the small balcony overlooking the garden. The sun was climbing now, and I could smell the roses that Mrs. Rodriguez had planted along the fence. I need to ask you something, Derek said. I glanced over. Go ahead. When you donated the lottery money, did you do it partly to punish me? I considered that for a moment. No, I said. I did it to honor Rose, and because I came to understand something important. What's that? That money came from pain. From betrayal. It was never going to bring peace or joy. Money like that, it's cursed, Derek. It carries the weight of how it was won. And I wanted no part of it. He nodded slowly. Then reached for my hand again. I'm proud of you, he said. I smiled. I'm proud of you, too. We sat in the morning sun, the garden below full of quiet beauty and second chances. Even if I'd kept the money, it never would have brought me happiness. Every time I looked at it, I'd think of the worst week of my life. But you could have done more with it, Derek said softly. Set up a scholarship fund or something. Something that lasted longer than a one-time donation. I smiled gently. Derek, that one-time donation saved 12 children's lives. He looked at me, surprised. The hospital used it to expand their leukemia treatment program. One of the children who benefited was Rose's grandson, the boy she used to tell me about. I paused, warmth in my voice. He's in remission now. Derek was quiet for a moment, processing. I didn't know that, he said. Rose, she would have been proud. It was her money, I said simply. Her ticket. Her wish. And it went exactly where she wanted it to go. He hesitated. And your half? When you claim your ticket? I'd been thinking about that for weeks. Maybe longer. If I claim it, I began, what would I even do with $50 million? I'm 66 years old. I have a nice apartment. Good healthcare. Enough saved to live comfortably. What else do I really need? Travel, he said. Buy things. Help people. I laughed gently. I can travel modestly with what I have. I don't need many things anymore. And as for helping people, I gestured out the window. We watched Mr. Peterson down in the garden, teaching a new resident, probably in his 70s, how to stake tomato plants. The man listened with wide-eyed focus, like a child learning something magical. I'm already helping people, I said. Just in smaller, quieter ways. Derek nodded slowly. I think I get it now. The lottery money, it was never really about the money, was it? No, I said. It was about what people were willing to do to get it. What they were willing to sacrifice, or destroy. He looked at me then. Kaia would have killed you for it. And I would have let her have you committed. He flinched at his own words. But he didn't deny them. I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to make up for that. You don't need to, I said gently. What you need is to forgive yourself and move forward. That's what I've done. He paused. Have you forgiven me? I thought about it. 6 months ago, locked in that closet, listening to my son talk about having me declared incompetent, I didn't think I ever could. But forgiveness had come slowly, like dawn breaking after a long night. Yes, I said simply. I have. Derek's eyes welled with tears. I don't deserve that. Forgiveness isn't about deserving, I told him. It's about choosing to let go, so the pain doesn't poison what's left of your life. A soft, peaceful silence settled between us. Somewhere nearby, children laughed and played in the park beside our community. The sound of normal life. Ordinary. Beautiful. Mom, he asked. If you don't claim the money, what happens to it? It goes back to the state education fund. Derek smiled faintly. Rose would have liked that, too. She would, I agreed. He looked at me, thoughtful. She sounds like she was a really good friend. The best, I said. She taught me something I'll never forget. Real wealth isn't about what you have, it's about who loves you enough to trust you with their dreams. I stood up and stretched, my joints protesting, but my spirit feeling light. It was a rare and beautiful thing, contentment. Are you staying for lunch? I asked. If you'll have me. Derek, I said with a smile, you're my son. You're always welcome here. As we walked inside to warm up Helen's casserole, I caught a glimpse of myself in the hallway mirror. The woman looking back had silver in her hair, lines around her eyes, but there was peace in her expression. She looked like someone who had survived something brutal and come out stronger. Someone who had chosen love over bitterness. Behind me, Derek set the table with quiet care, the kind of reverence that comes when you realize everyday moments are actually the most sacred. We had both lost so much. But we had also found something deeper. We had learned, in different ways, that sometimes losing everything is how you discover what truly matters. The lottery ticket still sat in my jewelry box, and signed, unclaimed. $50 million in potential, gathering dust beside my wedding ring and my mother's pearls. Some days, I thought about signing it. Doing something grand. Generous. But most days, I preferred to leave it where it was. A reminder that the most valuable things in life aren't bought, or won. They can't be stolen or lost. They can only be given freely, received gratefully, and treasured always. And me? I'm rich beyond measure. Now I'm curious about you, the one who listened to my story. What would you do, if you were in my place? Have you ever faced something that made you rethink what truly matters? Tell me in the comments. And while you're here, I've left 2 other channel favorites on screen, stories that will definitely surprise you. Thanks for watching. Until next time.